Are you looking to streamline your accreditation process? Maybe you have a PDF and you'd simply like that data to be automated and pushed to Salesforce as opposed to manually inputting it. Well, this is what my client did. Let's get into it. Let me show you the transformation process. And here is the PDF. It begins with taking the inquirer name, institution details, web address, and phone number. This is something we'll pre-fill automatically, so the inquiry is simply allowed to update, but as much information as possible we'll try and preload from Salesforce. The accreditation process itself begins with questionnaires, which follows on through the application. If we move on to page 2, we have a couple more questions all the way till number 9. Now the next part, location, is interesting. So in this PDF, you will have a simple table which you can enter multiple locations. But in Salesforce, we'll create a custom object called locations, allowing our inquirer to add multiple locations, creating line items inside of that object, which links to the questionnaire itself. Moving on, we've got programs. This again follows a yes and no, but we do have a multi-select option in question 2, which we'll need to create in Salesforce. Now, throughout this application, there are documents required to supplement this entire accreditation, which means we'll need to create an option where they can upload files and push that against the questionnaire itself in Salesforce. If you require financial aid, you will need to fill out all these questions and provide more financial data in PDF or other documentation which can be uploaded, such as financial compliance audits or any other files that are necessary. But for each one of these, we'll create a section in Salesforce with the relevant data type. The data type continues with a yes and no format, and then finally finishing it off, we again require a copy of the annual report, accountability report, which again needs to be uploaded in Salesforce. So as you can see, why that can be a cumbersome process of taking that information, having to manually input it into Salesforce. It certainly isn't the most aesthetic looking PDF out there either. So let me give you a bit of a sneak peek on how we took that and converted it into a portal. Here it is. So that was a sneak peek, but now it's all about the main event, which is a demo where we show you how it works in Salesforce and how it works in Titan and how we combine it together to reduce manual entry and get rid of the PDF overall. So here we go. And this is a starting point for this application in Salesforce. I've created all the fields and each of them in their own designated section. You can see that each section has its own heading, followed by all the relevant fields. For the related record, where we collect multiple locations, this is the related record, and this is where we'll get to create multiple line items. We also have a file section, as well as a final section set for payment status. Now, when my inquiry is ready, I'm going to trigger this using a flow, and email will be sent out like this. I will open up the link and it will bring me to my login. Now, who is logging into this? Well, it's my inquirer, John Doe. And is John Doe a special record? Nope, it's just a simple person account with an email address. That's the power of Titan. You don't need special licenses, you just need a record in Salesforce with an email. I'll copy the email, enter in here, go to continue. At this point, Titan checks for two-factor authorization, see if the email exists. If it does, it will send it. So and now you can see there is a code. I copy the code and enter it directly. Now, as I log in, I have 5 sections in front of me, including the application status set to unpaid. So we'll begin with the first section. As we click into it, it's going to load all the data from Salesforce that already exists. So Dale Carnegie, which is the account associated or the institution associated with this application, all the data is preloaded. I can go ahead and enter more data. Now, it doesn't really matter what I'm filling out. What is relevant, how the data flies into Salesforce. So as I click Save and Next, it will take me onto the next page. Meanwhile, in Salesforce, the first section is going to be populated upon refresh. So as we refresh, look at that. All that data coming in beautifully. The next part is file uploads. This is where we get to upload all the different files needed. So we'll head over to My Files and we will upload some financial statements. I can also preview these files, and if not correct, I can delete them as well. We'll enter some percentages. And as I click Save and Next, this will populate the second section, which is the federal financial aid status. And then it will upload those files directly against the files in this application. Click refresh. There is federal financial aid status populated, and in the files section, we have our files. So working out really nicely so far. It then takes me onto my Accreditation and Regulation page, and I'm just simply answering my questions. Clicking Save and Next, and as I go back into Salesforce, you can see that the Accreditation and Regulation is now also populated. We're going to take a pause here because I'd like to show you something very cool, which is if I head over to my home page, notice the checkboxes that are conditionally checking off each section, which means when we find out the section is completed, we mark it off, which also means if I decide to log out now and log back in, I will be able to continue knowing that, okay, this one needs to be completed and this one needs to be completed. Meanwhile, if I want to check any existing data, I can click over here and guess what? It's going to preload all that data from Salesforce, showing me what I've already filled out. And if I want to change it, I can. So we'll continue with the final 2 sections. Clicking Save and Next. And again, each one populating its own section beautifully. Now the final part is locations. This is what we spoke about, how to add multiple records. So we'll add a location. We'll call this location 1. We'll select our location type and click create. It writes back to Salesforce, reads our result back. Let's add another one. Location 2. Writes back to Salesforce, reads our result back. If we head over back to Salesforce and go to the related, you look at that, all the locations nicely populated. Really cool functionality. Now, when I click onto the home page, it completes all my sections, and all I now need to do is pay. When I go into click pay here, this will bring up Stripe integration. I'm going to go ahead and enter my credit card details. And as I click submit, this is going to write back to Stripe, take that data from Stripe, put it back in Salesforce, and then read it directly into the portal to application status being paid. And pay here is now marked as disabled. There's nothing I can do. If I head over to the Salesforce, the last section, payment status, if I refresh this, this will have data from Stripe. Have a look. If I click, you can see it's a direct receipt from Stripe into Salesforce. Very cool functionality. And then if I want to get a PDF of everything that I've filled out, this is the document generation aspect of Titan, we're able to bring all of that data into a really nice PDF. You can see all the questions filled out, everything in there, even the dynamic data. So in multiple locations, we're able to bring into a table, display it dynamically. And now I can download this. I can also have this sent as an email receipt. So there is the full process of the accreditation application. So wrapping it up, that's the entire process. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to bringing you more down the line. Please like and subscribe.